Leonor boyfriend, into any search engine right now and you will fall into a rabbit hole. TikTok videos claiming the future Queen of Spain is secretly dating a Barcelona footballer. Articles insisting she has had a hidden partner since she was 15 years old. Threads posts naming a mystery companion from her time at the Naval Academy. Instagram pages promising to reveal his identity if you just click through. Spain, according to the internet, has a secret. But before we go any further, it is worth asking a very simple question that almost nobody asking about Leonor's love life seems to be asking themselves: where is this actually coming from, and is any of it true? The honest answer is more revealing than any rumor could be. Because when you actually trace these stories back to their source, what you find is not a palace insider, not a verified sighting, not a confirmed photograph. What you find is an industry. Let's start with what is actually verifiable, because there is remarkably little of it. Princess Leonor, heir to the Spanish throne under Article 57 of the Constitution, has never had a romantic relationship confirmed by Zarzuela, the royal household. Not one. In nearly 2 decades of intense media coverage, in a country with some of the most aggressive tabloid culture in Europe, no outlet with editorial standards, not El País, not ABC, not Vanity Fair Spain, has published a confirmed name, a verified photograph, or an on-record palace statement about a partner. That silence is not an oversight. It is a policy, and we will get to why in a moment. What fills that silence is where things get strange. If you search for Leonor's boyfriend today, one of the first things you will find is a wave of nearly identical articles, published across different websites with different names, all describing what they call a hidden chapter of youthful love. They describe a longtime boyfriend, a young man whose identity has remained closely guarded. They quote an anonymous palace insider who says the relationship is not played for the cameras. It sounds intimate. It sounds like access. Except these articles have a problem. Several of them state, as fact, that Leonor is 15 years old. In 2026, Leonor was born in October of 2005. She is 20. These are not typos from a rushed reporter. They are the fingerprint of content farms, pages generating royal gossip at scale, recycling the same paragraph structure, the same fictional insider quote, the same vague, unfalsifiable claims, changing only the name of the royal at the center. The words are designed to feel like journalism. They are not journalism. They are pattern-generated filler built to capture search traffic from people typing exactly the phrase you might have typed to find this video. Then there is the second category, pure speculation dressed up as revelation. One persistent rumor ties Leonor romantically to Gavi, the Barcelona and Spanish national team footballer. There is no evidence connecting them beyond the fact that they are young, Spanish, and famous, which, it turns out, is enough for the internet to construct an entire fictional romance, complete with videos claiming he has finally said yes to marriage. Another version of the rumor places her boyfriend inside the Naval Academy at Marin, a fellow cadet from her time training aboard the Juan Sebastián de Elcano, Spain's tall ship used to train future naval officers. This one at least has the advantage of proximity. Leonor did spend months in tight quarters with a small group of fellow officer cadets during her naval training. But proximity is not evidence. Sharing a ship with someone is not the same as dating them, and no photograph, no statement, no credible sourcing has ever connected her romantically to anyone from that training class. A third version names a wealthy young man from an international family, met during her formative years abroad. Also unconfirmed, also untraceable to any actual source. 3 competing rumors, none of them verified, all of them presented online with the same tone of certainty. That inconsistency alone should tell you something. If insiders actually knew who Leonor was dating, the rumor would not have 3 unrelated versions circulating at once. So why does this vacuum exist in the first place? Why is there so little real information about the private life of a woman who is, by any measure, one of the most photographed young women in Europe? The answer starts with how the Spanish monarchy operates after the trauma of the Juan Carlos era. When Leonor's grandfather went into exile in 2020 following corruption allegations, the institution he left behind was fragile. Public trust in the monarchy, according to research from the University of Murcia's polling project on the Crown, had been steadily eroding for over a decade. Felipe VI inherited a throne that could no longer coast on tradition alone, it needed to earn legitimacy through visible discipline and restraint. That recalibration extended directly to how the family manages information about the next generation. Leonor's education was deliberately structured to keep her outside the tabloid ecosystem: 2 years at a boarding school in Wales, a demanding academic course load, and then the 3-branch military training program that took her through the Army Academy at Zaragoza, the Naval Academy and the Elcano voyage, and finally the Air Force Academy at San Javier, where she graduated in July of this year. Every one of those environments has one thing in common: they are closed, structured, and heavily controlled. Military academies do not permit journalists to wander the halls. Boarding schools abroad are, by design, insulated from Spanish paparazzi. Leonor has spent nearly her entire adolescence and young adulthood inside institutions that make unauthorized access to her personal life extremely difficult. This is not incidental. It is strategy. Compare it to how the British royal family has, at times, handled its younger members, where relationships become public well before marriage, photographed, tracked, occasionally weaponized by the press. Zarzuela chose a different model, closer to a doctrine of institutional silence: reveal nothing until an announcement is official, deny nothing, comment on nothing, and let speculation exhaust itself against a wall of no response. It is a strategy built on the assumption that the palace does not need to win the rumor cycle. It only needs to outlast it. There is also a constitutional dimension that makes this caution more than just image management. Under Article 57 of the Spanish Constitution, a marriage by the heir to the throne that the king and the Cortes Generales do not approve can result in exclusion from the line of succession, the same clause that pushed Felipe's own aunt, Infanta Margarita's line, out of contention decades ago over an unapproved marriage, and the clause that hung over Felipe and Letitia's own courtship before their wedding in 2004. Any relationship Leonor eventually has will not simply be a private matter. It will, at some point, become a constitutional one, subject to approval, scrutiny, and formal process. That is an extraordinary weight to place on a 20-year-old's romantic life, and it gives the palace every incentive to keep that chapter closed for as long as possible. Announcing a relationship prematurely does not just invite tabloid attention, it invites political and institutional questions before there is anything real to discuss. Which brings us back to the content flooding your search results. None of it understands, or cares about, any of this context. The TikTok edits pairing Leonor with a footballer she has almost certainly never spoken to. The AI-written articles inventing a hidden boyfriend and getting her age wrong by 5 years. The threads and comment sections treating a single blurry photo from a military ceremony as proof of a secret relationship. This content exists for one reason: her name generates clicks, and clicks generate revenue, regardless of whether a single word of it is true. It is not built to inform you. It is built to hold your attention for the length of a 15-second video, and it succeeds precisely because real information about Leonor is so scarce that any claim, however unfounded, fills a vacuum people are curious to have filled. So what is actually true, as of today? Leonor, Princess of Asturias, heir to the Spanish throne, has completed her military training across all 3 branches of Spain's armed forces, graduating from the Air Force Academy at San Javier in July. She has no confirmed romantic partner. She has never publicly discussed her private relationships, and neither has her family. Every name currently attached to her online, the footballer, the naval cadet, the wealthy international heir, is speculation, and in most cases, speculation with no traceable source at all. What is real is the discipline of an institution that has decided, deliberately and consistently, that her personal life will remain hers until she chooses otherwise, or until Spanish constitutional process requires it to become public. That, in the end, is the more interesting story than any invented boyfriend could ever be. Not a hidden romance, but a young woman being trained, quite literally, to withstand a level of public scrutiny most people could not survive, and an institution that learned, from its own recent collapse in credibility, that the only way to protect what is fragile is to say almost nothing about it at all. The mystery isn't who Leonor is dating. The mystery is why so many people would rather invent an answer than sit with the fact that, for now, there isn't one. A transparency note for accuracy: The verified elements of this script: Leonor's age, her constitutional status, her military academy training and July graduation, the mechanics of Article 57, the 2020 exile of Juan Carlos I, the University of Murcia polling research, and the 2004 Felipe Letizia precedent, are drawn from confirmed public reporting. The specific rumors described, the footballer, the Naval Academy classmate, the international heir, are presented explicitly as unverified online speculation, not as claims this script endorses. No named individual is confirmed as Leonor's partner by any credible source as of this recording.